first recording of my Hidden Talents and NIRSA series. And today's guests are our 4 distinguished leaders that are all first generation college graduates. And so what I'm going to do, we do have a series of questions that we're going to jump into, but I am going to ask each of the guests to briefly introduce themselves, and we will jump right on into the questions. So Ashford, we will start with you.
Yeah. How's it going? I'm Ashford Evans Brown, Assistant Director for Facility Operations, and I'm at Florida State University.
Natalie.
Hi, my name is Natalie Hawkins. I am the Assistant Director of Recreational Programs at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville.
DJ.
Hey folks, DJ Preston, Director of Recreation and Wellness at Radford University.
And last but not least, Carlos.
Howdy everyone, Carlos Garcia, Aquatics Director, Texas A&M University.
Right. Well, thank you everyone for being here today. I'm very excited for this opportunity, and we will have about 5 or 6 more of these recordings featuring different guests. So stay tuned for the next one, but with no further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into our first question. And I'm actually going to have Carlos and Natalie tackle this one. So how did your childhood influence your decision to be the first in your family to attend college?
Carlos, if you're ready.
Yeah, I'll go. So I think as in my young childhood growing up, I grew up in a rural area, small country town. But knowing that there was a university there, it wasn't very big, very populated. Everything ran around the university. So just seeing that as I grew up, going to games, my family, just knowing what was out there and kind of what was going to be that next step. My dad and mom did a really great job of taking us to the parades for the homecoming games, going to football games, going to the bonfire that they hosted there at the university that would bring out the community and try to influence everybody to, hey, there's this university here in your backyard that you can go to, that, and started kind of help shape individuals that way. But I had older siblings, so I'm the youngest of 4. My older siblings, everybody had to work. And so college, if you ask me from the early on age, is, yeah, I knew what a university was. Was I going to go to it? Probably not. I was just going to, fall into what my siblings were doing, is just getting jobs, working hard, and always making sure that they had something, that they were building equity in, or looking to retire, or looking to better the life, right? Our parents worked hard to give us what we had, and kind of building what that next building block was going to be for us, and just kind of giving us those tools and giving us those directions. But for me, it was just hearing people say, you're never going to go to a university. Don't worry about it because of the color of your skin, or because of your economic background, right? So I didn't grow up with a whole lot. So money wasn't easily accessible in my family. So just hearing that over and over and over as a young kid growing up was, I'm going to prove everybody wrong, and I'm going to work hard. So I'm going to get to that next step. And so that's kind of what fueled the fire. And then it was really about my junior high year. The group of friends I was around, all their parents were either professors at the university, or they had gone to a university and gotten a bachelor's degree. And so they started helping us and kind of talking, and kind of took me under the wing, but kind of laid out what the next 5 or 6 years was going to look like, and what I needed to do to get there, to achieve that goal.
Well, thank you for sharing. Very powerful. Natalie?
So I had thought about this question a lot, how my childhood influenced me if I decided to go to university. So I'll share. So I have 2 older half sisters, and they went to this high school in San Antonio. And luckily for me, it was a private high school. So I went there. A lot of my cousins have gone there. But I always looked up to my older sister. She went to go play college ball at the University of Dallas, was on a scholarship. I was in athletics. And I thought, this is what I want to do. I wanted to model what my older sister had done. I quickly learned that I was not going to be able to play college basketball. But I also wasn't, what I felt, I didn't get the direction, like you can go to any university or college that you want to go to. I think the direction that I was kind of steered was you can go anywhere in San Antonio. Well, after applying to different schools in San Antonio, I was not going to any of the private schools that were there because my parents did, afford me a lot of opportunities, but due to our, I guess, socioeconomic status, like my mom said, I'm sorry, like you're not getting any financial aid, you're not getting any grants. These are your options. So I felt like I had just one opportunity, and that's all I knew at the time. And that was, I went to the University of Texas at San Antonio. But I thought, okay, this is my path. I feel like I didn't have any other direction that I could go anywhere else. So thinking about the opportunities that my older sister had, I did not have that same opportunity, but that's what I was thinking about of now being a higher education professional, that we're telling students that they have opportunities to go. If they wanted to go out of state, if they wanted to apply for scholarships, or they can apply for these grants. I don't think I had those same conversations when I was in high school, thinking about those opportunities to go into higher education. So just a little background on that.
All right, thank you for that. So this next question, I'm actually going to have all four of you tackle because I think it's a very interesting question, and I would love to hear each of your unique perspectives on this. So two-part question. First, did being first generational impact your college experience? And if so, how? And was it ever considered a part of your identity during your college experience? And so let's see, DJ, let's start with you on this one.
Sure. So how did it impact me? I think that the lack of knowledge going into school definitely was huge there. I'd never heard the term first generation, and I was probably on campus a couple of years before I actually even heard that term, and so it impacted the way that I looked at things, or like my friends who would tell me about things that may be going on that they maybe knew about happening just through their parents kind of letting them know, or their peers letting them know. I felt like I was always kind of a little like a step behind to everything else that people kind of knew how to navigate the campus. And so I'm like, okay, well, it makes sense. So then I started hearing about first generation. And so I think that made sense. For the second part of your question, I think it's a lot about not only first generation, but tied to identity. When I think about socioeconomic status, the place that I come from, you didn't recognize that a lot of people had a lot of money. Like everybody was kind of in the same boat, right? And so when you get to school, I went to a large public, R1 school, and you see people that have done this college thing before, and they are much affluent, very affluent, and you start to see different things. You're like, hold on, there's a whole nother side of this thing that I didn't get. And I've got to try to catch up pretty quickly to understand all of these things that are going on at this large public institution. And so it impacted me that way. Is like you feel like you're playing catch up many times to try to understand the playing field as it sits, as opposed to you walking in and feeling like, okay, well, everybody that where I come from is kind of operates in a very similar fashion, when the world's a much larger place than just that place you come from. And I think that was a realization that I had to get to prior to really kind of stepping into that first generation low SES kind of mind frame.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that many of you probably felt the same way. So definitely appreciate you be willing to share that experience with us. Ashford, what about you?
I think for me, in addition to what DJ was talking about, I think it was a little bit of pressure. And I think that had a huge impact because I felt like being the first one, like no matter what, I have to see this thing through. Like I have to make it across the stage to the end goal because like my mom didn't go and she wishes that she would. You know, my dad didn't finish high school and he wishes that he would. So like I'm the one that has to make it across this thing to see it through. And I think to a certain degree, like I also knew that unlike some of the people that I was going to school with, like they could just go back home. And I'm like, going back home really wasn't an option. And so, you know, was it ever considered part of my identity? Sure. I think the friends that I have now that I grew up with that either didn't go to college or they didn't finish, like I'm the quote unquote the smart one who has the degrees, right? And I'm the one who everyone thinks has the answers because I have the degrees, and that's just really not true. But I think the other impact that it had on my college experience is I really felt like I just had to figure things out on my own. Like no matter what, I have to get out here, and if that means I need to go stand in the line at the financial aid office and ask the right questions or figure out what the questions are, or if that means I need to go and work 2 jobs, which I did in undergrad, like I have to figure this thing out and figure out how to support myself because my mom and my dad are doing what they can to support themselves and support my sister. So I can't, like, that's not an option to be like, hey, can you send me an extra $300 a month? Like, I just got to figure it out. And so I think that had a huge impact on how I matriculated through college and honestly how I am today. You just got to figure it out.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you as a follow-up if you think that still influences, you know, like who we know Ashford to be, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, great. Natalie, what about you?
I would share that, you know, my parents encouraged me to go to college, but I think that first generation really impacted me when I left. And I left the state of Texas, and I got all the questions of why. Why do you need to leave? Why do you need to leave the state to go to grad school? Why can't you stay home? And for me saying, this is an opportunity for me to pursue a master's degree or pursue an experience in my field. Like my parents couldn't understand. So saying I was the first in my family to ever leave the state and live somewhere different and to go on and pursue a master's degree. My parents still say, you're still in Illinois. Like they weren't, so what, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, trying to have that conversation saying that I'm going to pursue my higher education or my master's degree. I got hit with a lot of the whys. Why can't I do it here? And so I think that was really, really tough to tell my parents it's going to be okay. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to get that degree. I'm going to get that experience, and then I'll come back home, which was a lie. Didn't think it was a lie at first, but I think that's something that's really stuck with me for this very long, that I decided to leave. I decided to take a leap of faith, but I think it, not only impacted me, but, you know, my parents and my family to think, you know, she left and she hasn't come back home yet. I think can be very difficult and challenging. And I think a lot of our new young professionals that are definitely in this career are scared to make those decisions. So, and it's not just unique to my situation, but to everyone's situation. So I think being part of that first gen has definitely impacted my experience, you know, going on to pursue a degree.
So Natalie, thank you for sharing, because it's so inspiring, and it's really, I'm going to share a concept that really was instrumental in me wanting to really create this hidden talents in NIRSA series, and it's called Fearless Vulnerability, right? And when I thought about what that meant, it really allowed me to think about which groups of individuals I wanted to feature, because everything that you all are sharing right now, you know, it's about being fearless and it's about being vulnerable, right? And so just hearing these stories, I do hope it is going to inspire, especially some of our younger professionals that are coming up in the field. So thank you all. And Carlos, definitely don't want to leave you out. So
Yeah, so as you heard, kind of everybody else, they've hit on some points, but being a first gen, definitely. Also just being from the Latinx community. Natalie talked a little about leaving home and our parents not grasping that the culture is there. You're supposed to stay home. Kind of also being the first, Ashford touched base on this, on how all the pressure is on you. And everybody's putting everything they have on you, saying, hey, I don't have money to help you out, but know that you're breaking barriers for future generations coming in, or for your little cousins, or for your, you know, your mom and dad that couldn't do this, your grandparents, if your grandparents raised you, then your grandparents didn't have that opportunity. So they put there, you got a lot of pressures coming around from all angles. And kind of like DJ said, I was on campus for a while as well, and I didn't know what the term first gen was. I was just trying to figure it out. And I would go to class, and some of my classmates, and hey, oh, I'm first, second, third generation. You know, my mom went to school here, my dad went to school here. Great. Hey, I got this question. And I would ask people in class, like, where do you go to get this? And they're like, oh, you don't know that? No, where do you go? And so I was always able to just strike conversations with people and break down those barriers, and kind of help me, guide me through that time frame, because I couldn't call home. I couldn't call a couple of cousins or anything else, because I was the first, right? Where I saw other individuals or my roommates, they would just get on the phone and call their mom, or you need to go talk to your counselor, you need to go talk to your financial aid advisor, you need to go talk to the dean of the college. I wouldn't have known all that, but through my roommates and everything, we started kind of helping and guiding each other. But did I ever consider it part of my identity? No, because I didn't realize that's what it was until I became a professional. And then I was able to help students of saying, hey, have icebreakers, and people would say, hey, I'm here for the first time, I'm first gen. Okay. So I would write down, make a note. And it's one of those things that you take that vulnerability out of it, right? So you go up to that student and say, hey, I just want you to know I'm first gen as well, but I'm going to help you out. And if you have any questions, my door's always open. So that's kind of how I gave back in that piece, but I never considered it my identity until I got older. And then I'm like, yeah, I went through all this, and now how am I giving back? Because I had mentors during my undergraduate, and it wasn't until I didn't really have people guiding me until I got into recreational sports. When I was at UTSA, I started as a student. I had two mentors that really took me under the wing. One was Tony Daniels, and the other one was Mark Mungia. And they really kind of helped guide me, kind of help me break those barriers. And so that's who I credit to helping me, guide me through my success of my undergraduate and master's work.
awesome, great. Thank you for sharing that. And it actually is a nice segue, you know, keeping with collegiate recreation in general, of all the different fields and different career paths that, you know, we all could have chosen. You know, we chose this, you know, as our desired career. And so I'm just curious, what maybe led to your decision to become a campus recreation professional? You know, if you all can just share a little bit about that. And, you know, Natalie, we'll start with you on this one.
This is fun. So I thought about this, yeah. And the first thing I said is because I'm hard-headed as heck. But I know Carlos is laughing because he understands where I've come from and my experiences. So I'll share that I was faced with some personal and professional challenges in my undergraduate career in campus recreation. But I wasn't going to let that stop me. If I was told one thing, I was going to say, watch me. I'm going to pursue this. I'm going to persevere. If I Didn't think I was going to be an intramural GA. I knew quickly my path was going to change, and all accredit to my mentor as well, Tony Daniels. When I was at UTSA, took me under his wing, and I started working in operations, facilities and operations. And my path of what I thought I wanted to do was not the answer. So I had gone down this different path, and was able to go to grad school in a different state. Like my journey was not the path. It was what my mentors and had told me, this is what you're going to do. And I was like, I don't agree with it, but I'm going to see this out. So, I mean, this is where I'm at right now in my professional career. I've never stopped. I didn't stop believing in myself, even though it scared me to go on this journey. And it's been a heck of a journey. To say I got my master's degree, I met my husband in grad school, got married, have 2 children. The opportunities that I've been given at SIUE, I've just been very, very thankful that I believed in the process, right? From the very bad days that I thought like this is the worst thing that could probably ever happen to me, to where I'm at now in my professional career. I'm thankful for all of those bad experiences, and I wouldn't call them bad experiences, those challenges that were placed in front of me, but to see it through, to persevere and to continue on has definitely made me want to stay in this field of campus recreation, and still doing it, still here.
Great, awesome. Well, we're glad you're here. So. And DJ, for you, not only did you decide, but as a director now, you've been in this field for a while. So any thing you would like to share about what led for you to not be a campus rep professional, but remain one for years now?
Yeah, I think, a part of what led it, I didn't even know NIRSA existed when I was a senior in college. Like, I didn't know NIRSA was a thing, and it was, people are naming folks who kind of helped them. I think it's only right to kind of raise folks up. But, I was at Virginia Tech, and people like Chris Wise and Ali Cross, who were like, Kathy Croft, who were like, hey, this is an opportunity. You should try to do this. You have an opportunity to do so. And so I was like, okay, I can give it a shot. What's it gonna hurt? You're telling me I can go to a conference and I can interview, I can potentially get a GA, so on and so forth. And so I'm like, great, let's see what happens. And then, that conference was in Austin, Texas. And I went to Austin. Texas was a really cool place. And I met Trevon Walker from Texas State. And I'm like, hold on, I kind of like this guy. Let's see what's going on about Texas State. And so I ended up going to Texas State, and that was a part of my, decision to become a professional. I was able to kind of get tutors from folks, at Texas State. And then it was like, okay, here's a career path to be able to kind of go down. I started as an athlete. I thought I would be an athlete. I thought I would work in athletic administration. And then an injury kind of sent me to campus rec or to the intramurals. And so I kind of continued to feed the competitive side of me through that. And what has allowed me to persist is just opportunity, doors opening, I'd say working hard and just doors opening and being grateful, being at the right place at the right time, trying to be available when your number's called, to be able to step in and do a good job. And I think that has kind of allowed me to continue down the path. I think that's the biggest part of it. I don't, the director title kind of just came, and it was here. And so I tried to take advantage of it. But I enjoy what it is that I do. And I try to lead folks to NIRSA, try to let them know, hey, if you don't know what you're going to do, but you're a solid employee, you've done the things you're supposed to do, let me show you this path that I didn't learn till I was a senior. So the fact that you're a junior, that you've got to step up. So you got an opportunity to kind of figure this thing out before it's time for you to have to choose a place to maybe do grad school and continue in this type of career.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Sure. All right. So for our last few minutes, we're going to have a little bit of fun. So all of our guests can get to know each of you just a little bit more. So I'm gonna call this part, our rapid question section. And so I have about 4 questions that I'm gonna ask each of you, and first thing that comes to mind, just real quickly, if you can respond. So the first question will be, what hidden talent, hobby, or skill do you have? Going into our theme of hidden talents of NIRSA. Ashford, we'll go with you first.
I grew up as a band kid, in addition to being an athlete. So, I played the saxophone,
Ooh,
trumpet, baritone. Yeah.
nice. All right. Carlos, what about you?
So I'm more of the outdoorsman, so I like to hunt and fish, and so it's kind of my hidden talents. I can pretty much get out to any terrain and enjoy it.
All right, DJ.
Following Ashford's kind of musical deal, definitely play piano and play drums. And basketball is a hobby that I can't ever not state.
All right, well, I'm hearing like a little symphony or something at this year's annual conference. Gotta put my little band together. Natalie, instrument, you got any? Maybe
Yes,
maybe a singer?
Piano. I was like, oh, DJ. Yeah, I play the piano too. So play Christmas music during the holidays. But I used to run track too in high school, so I still do and enjoy running. So I do work out. I really try to focus on my health and wellness. So yeah, to say I love running on a treadmill is one of my favorite hobbies.
All right, staying with you, Natalie. Favorite thing about NIRSA?
Oh, talking about the annual conference, I love seeing everybody when we get back together in our spaces. I mean, it's, I've talked about that. I've known individuals almost for the past 18 years. And when we reconnect and we talk, we can't stop laughing. We're sharing stories. And it's just like, hey, let me introduce you. Like they're introducing us to their new staff or their students. So that's what I love about NIRSA, being able to reconnect with old friends and definitely make new ones.
Awesome, great. DJ, what about you?
It's the people. I mean, it's the people, the relationships you build, the camaraderie you build. I think that's my favorite thing about NIRSA for sure. Great association full of great people.
Carlos.
I'm gonna have to say the network and the people, just people that you can relate to, people you can talk to in the day-to-day, and then just getting to know one another. But knowing that, kind of like Natalie said, it's a reunion every time we go to a conference. Yes, we talk to each other. Yes, we can Zoom or things, but it's different when you're in person, and you just get to just have a meal together and sit down, and it means a lot to have those connections.
And last but not least, Ashford.
And I was hoping you was gonna come to me first because I was gonna say the people and get it out the way. But in addition to the people, because the people mean a lot, but I'm gonna have to say the opportunities. I mean, the first time I flew on an airplane was because I was going to a NIRSA conference. So I think that like the opportunities have been fantastic for me.
Great. And last question for each of you. Biggest accomplishment thus far? We'll start with Carlos.
Biggest accomplishments this far, when I received the opportunity to come to Texas A&M, I was told that I was the first Latinx professional staff member at Texas A&M University. So I would take that as a big accomplishment, and just breaking down barriers and continue to do so.
All right, Ashford.
Building my own like little tree, like having people that work with me that are now grad assistants or professionals in the field. I think that's a pretty cool part.
Awesome. Natalie.
This is a little bit more specific to past spring semester, but we had our first ever sport alumni weekend. So we had over 300 club sport alumni come back, plan 4 events in 3 days, which was a huge undertaking. But I mean, our club sport history is about 20 years worth. So to say that we were able to pull this off was definitely one for the books for me.
Right. And wrap us up, Mr. DJ.
Yeah, I've been at Radford 4.5 years, and we've sent 5 people to either a job in the field or a graduate assistantship since I started. And that, more than any accomplishment that I can do, is making sure that people have the opportunity to be able to grow and get grad school covered, or a portion of grad school covered, or be able to start to make and earn funds because of being able to kind of be a part of the program.
Great, great. Well, once again, I want to thank each of you for being willing to share your stories and experiences with us today. I was so excited when you all said absolutely we'll be a part. And so I definitely, much appreciated, right? Thank you, NIRSA family, for tuning in, and I look forward to our next opportunity to come. But stay tuned, it'll be sometime in the month of September. But until then, enjoy one another. That's appreciate the start of the fall semester coming up, and seize the day. As I like to say, carpe diem, everyone. Love you all. Until next time, thank you.